So here we are for the last match of our little 3-match queues, and we're on the draw, which is where we don't want to be, and we have a hand that is not quite keepable. It's just too slow. We have a Goblin Guide. We would have to find a land, and we don't have a Scry, so we're just going to mulligan here. There's just too many 2-mana spells and just no mana to cast them, so we're going to mulligan. Our opponent's on a mulligan as well, which is a good sign. So we can keep this hand, though. This hand's fine. It's got 2 lands. It's got creatures to cast. A big payoff spell like a Tarkus Command would be great here. So maybe we'll find that in our next game. So we're against Tron. Well, let me tell you, this deck has a pretty damn good matchup against Tron, and that is because Tron is just a bit too slow for this deck. We are wildly fast, and if we have a good draw, they're just not going to be able to keep up with us. And it's a good thing that we didn't see a turn 1 map. So we've got a cracked for probably maybe a Sylvan Scrying. So they are going to have turn 3 Tron. This deck can still do all right, even against a turn 3 Karn. Like, there's still potential to win. But it's going to be tough. An O-Stone would be somewhat difficult. We're going to go ahead and just cast, well, let's cast this Curdape and swing 4, put them at 16. An O-Stone would be somewhat difficult. There's an Expedition map, sure. So what do you have for us? So they're going to play their power plant. Maybe play a Karn, or maybe this is an O-Stone. No, they're playing a map. They do they not have a payoff for their? They don't have a payoff for their 7 mana. That's a very good sign. And we even have this Path to Exile just in case they play a Wormcoil Engine. So we're looking just fine right now. We're gonna go ahead and we'll cast. Do we cast Experiment 1? Experiment 1 into Goblin Guide, and then swing out here. And this says, hey, you're very dead next turn, so do something about this. We even if they jam a Wormcoil, they're still dead. So they are going ahead and playing an Ugin. Okay, so Ugin is a card that actually we're gonna have a lot of trouble beating. I don't think we can beat this. So that's the one I forgot about. Unfortunately, this Ugin is probably gonna just kill us. Yeah. So we're gonna have to gain a series of very lucky draws. The way we could still win is maybe drawing a Goblin Bushwhacker. No, I don't think that does it. I don't think we can win against Ugin. Ugin's different from Karn in that it just wipes the board and then we're screwed. So do we just concede here? I guess what we can do is we can go ahead and attack here, and then put them down to 6, and then if they just play the Wormcoil and pass, we could potentially top deck 2 Lightning Bolt effects, a Tarkus Command or Lightning Bolt. If we hit 2 of them, we just win. So I should have cast him off the Stomping Ground so I didn't have to fetch for another Sacred Foundry. But that's alright. Here's Wormcoil. A Relic of Progenitus, sure. So again, here, what we're going to do here is just... so we got an Ancient Stirrings. If it's another Wormcoil Engine, then we can't win. Ulamog. So Ulamog makes it to where we probably can't win either. So here we're just going to fetch for the Fetch for the Sacred Foundry. It also takes out a land out of our deck that we could draw. Go ahead and Path to Exile this. Okay. We could still, like, Flinthoof Boars are live too. Curd Ape is not, unfortunately. We'll go ahead and cast the Curd Ape and then pass. Maybe they'll end up exiling a Curd Ape instead of exiling 2 of our lands with the Ulamog, which is not the right play because they'll deal 3 damage. Okay. So they're gonna jam the Ulamog, and then we lose. So yeah, we'll just concede. We've got it. They've got it. Unfortunately, they had the Ugin. That's all they're, you know, it just happens. So in this matchup, we went some number of Path to Exiles for Ulamogs and Wormcoil Engines. Destructive Revelries are good. 10 Street Hooligan is good. Thalia is really, really good. And is there anything else? I guess not. And then we take out cards like probably Bolt. Bolt is not exciting. We just want more creature jamming, I think. What's the worst card we could probably have? Like, we want a high number of creatures. We want to be consistent. So I think we're fine with taking out... Atarka's Command represents a lot of early damage, so we're just going to keep those in over bolts. They don't have tiny creatures that we want to remove, so essentially Lightning Bolt is just a 3 damage, 1 mana 3 damage spell. And this is a card, this is a hand that sucks because it's completely functional except for the fact that it doesn't have a second land. We're on the play. Maybe this is just too slow. I think we're going to mulligan this, even though it functions, because we only have 1 draw, and if we don't find that land in that 1 draw, then we're immediately behind. Right? Yeah, I think we have to. The gambler's deck, man, that's the way it goes. And this is a similar situation, but we have a little bit more payoff if we find a land, and we also have a scry, so we just got to find that land. I'm going to play a Narnam Renegade turn 1 just because it represents, you know, it's not guaranteed that we get a fetch land. Grab a Stomping Ground, play a Narnam Renegade, and pass. So we're going to be in a good spot if we find a land, because we're going to be able to go Burning Tree. Oh, well, it's going to look good when we finally do have our second land, but you know, we might never find it. So we're going to play Wild Nikado because it represents more damage if we find like a land to fetch. Okay, so they're going to have turn 3 Tron again. So we just got to hope that they don't have some kind of payoff for it. And we're going to cast Goblin Guide. Alright. Swing 6. This also represents that if they just have not a lot of payoff, like maybe a if they have like say an Oblivion Stone but they can't crack it or something, that makes next if we draw a land, it's lethal. It's lethal from Atarka's Command, and I think it's lethal even from Burning Tree Emissary. So so this is a good sign. This means that they may not have something to play. They could, however, have like a Wormcoil Engine. So this looks like a worm. Oh, this is Thragtusk. That's still pretty bad. That's essentially a Wormcoil Engine. So, all right, let's see. We'd still be in a good spot if we drew a land, but there's still no land. So we're just gonna swing our lowly Narnam Renegade and pass. We'll play our Curd Ape. Okay, they're okay with getting a 3/3, getting our Narnam Renegade off the board. Okay. Ah, that's just too bad. If we see, this is why it's the gambler's deck. Like we very likely could have been able to just win out of nowhere if we had a land instead of one of these draws, because of how explosive our hand would have looked. Like we have just an insanely explosive hand right now, but okay, and there's Ugin. So yeah, we lose. Well, that's why it's the gambler's deck. I feel like this is a good matchup, but sometimes the hands just don't pan out. Our opponent got a little lucky. They had really good mulligans that, like, they mulligan into like turn 3 Tron both times. Yeah, I think I'll play one more game because I don't like how that went. You have to be okay with having hands like that where you play one land and you never find another land, because that's the way this deck goes sometimes, it's pretty much always going to be like that. So anyway, we'll play one more match and see how it goes. So see you there.